World Hunger Relief was chartered in 1976 by Bob and Jan Sally, real estate developers with a heart for God's people and the land. The mission was simple, yet bold, to start a nonprofit to address the needs of the hungry around the world. In 1979, the Sallys hired the first director and the farm was born. Having recently returned to Texas after 17 years of agricultural missions abroad, the leadership of the farm developed simple food production systems to address the needs of the poor within the reality of limited land resources. Over 400 alumni have served in 20 countries and 4 continents to live out the mission of the farm nearly half a century later.
So I've been connected with World Hunger Relief International, or the farm, for over 20 years. My wife and I lived out on the farm, both as interns, shortly after we got married. And even found out that we were having our first child when we lived on the farm. So I served as an intern, largely working with livestock when I lived out there, and my wife was the social work intern. Both of us, I had just finished graduate school and she was still in it. And so we've been really pretty intimately connected with the farm ever since.
When I moved to Waco in 2008, I actually moved because of the World Hunger Relief Farm, and I was an urban gardening intern there, helped with school gardens and church and community gardens in the Waco area.
In 2016-17, I did a local education internship. So my family, my husband, my 2 girls at the time all moved to the farm for a year. And as a local education intern, we were able to share the farm story. So from like little bitties to college students, going around the farm, talking to them about the history of the farm, how at that point it had been roughly about 40 years into its existence, and just the ministry that it was doing.
My connection with the farm extends back many years, first as an admirer of the farm and as someone who enjoyed the farmers market and things like that. But I've come to actually be on the farm for the past 3 years. First as the theologian in residence at the farm, helping the farm think through its purpose and its mission. And now, most recently, as the director of the new program for theology, ecology, and food justice, housed at Truett, but all the classes are held out at the farm where students have a chance to be immersed in the life out there as they're learning about food and the doctrine of creation.
We just felt like we were called here. And my dad loves doing work. He's an education director, though he would prefer being the person in charge of the animals or the garden. But right now he's the education director, and he's really good at it.
There are a lot of really great organizations in our community focused on food insecurity and alleviating hunger. But I think something that really sets World Hunger Relief apart and makes us unique is our specific focus on education. So we educate people kind of at all stages of the system. So we are a sustainable farm. As you can see, we grow produce here, we raise livestock, and so we focus on the practical skills of growing and raising livestock in a sustainable manner, and we teach people those skills. We also educate people about the food system, how the food is distributed, the equitability of the distribution, the whole process of the impacts on communities and people. And then we also are able to host a lot of field trips, so schools, people that come and learn about sustainable agriculture and creation care and know how to produce or purchase food that is really nutritionally dense, raised in an ecologically sustainable manner, and a socially responsible context as well.
A most impactful program at the farm is hard because what we do is so unique and so special. From our community food waste pickup, something as unique as going from restaurants to coffee shops, keeping their waste from the landfill, reusing it in our gardens, feeding our animals. That's one of my favorites. Our internship is hard to beat. We get people from around the world, even locally, globally, come here to learn how to farm sustainably. But I would say I'm a little biased because we're in the middle of it right now, is our produce prescription program. So that is through a partnership with Waco Family Medicine, where we provide produce for the program, and we have cooking classes where patients come, learn how to cook with our produce. And again, going back to what we do here at the farm, the hope is that there is that long-term change in behavior and not just a one-time meal. So to alleviate hunger for us, it's not just looking at feeding an individual, it's teaching them how to feed themselves and their community.
Today, as a faculty member at Baylor, my work intersects with the farm as an epidemiologist. I work to support some of the local organizations in Central Texas, specifically Waco Family Medicine. Waco Family Medicine and the farm partner together to provide fresh produce to patients, and patients go to Waco Family Medicine and participate in cooking classes and really learn more about the produce that's grown at the farm and get to take home produce to practice and use and cook for their families. And the whole goal is to really understand food as medicine and support chronic disease prevention and treatment.
Family medicine came to the realization that we were not impacting the health of our patients effectively by simply addressing health needs in the exam room alone. In the recent past, family medicine has become aware of what are called the social determinants of health, and some people now call those adverse drivers of health, but those are the things external to the exam room that affect a person's health in the context of family and community. Those are things like access to medical care, access to food, green space availability, safety, education, finances, behavioral aspects, including substance use, and very critical to this conversation, access to healthy food. So when we became aware of these things, we began to look out in the community for partners who might be able to aid us in identifying and targeting these adverse social determinants of health that were negatively impacting our patients. And because nutrition is so closely tied with health, we thought, well, was there a way that we could facilitate our patients' development of healthy eating habits and access to healthy foods? World Hunger Relief International has a passion for and a mission to engage the community.
World Hunger Relief definitely impacted my life and work trajectory. I don't know if I would be doing what I'm doing now if it were not for our time on the farm 20 years ago. And so I knew I felt called to the issues of hunger and poverty. I felt a very strong, undeniable call when I was after my junior year in college. And that ultimately led me to live and work in low-income neighborhoods. But my family were either preachers or farmers. And so the opportunity to be able to integrate that work, that desire and care for people who are in economically distressed households and integrate that with food and agriculture was really a game changer for me. I didn't know that those two really could correlate. And here I've spent the last almost 14 years of my life devoted to the Baylor Collaborative and addressing hunger both domestically and globally. And that seed would not have borne fruit if it were not from the farm, for the farm's influence in my life.
Because of living at the farm, we only had CSA and weekend farm stands, and I was looking to expand opportunities for marketing of local agricultural products. And so we started researching how we could start a farmer's market in Waco, which then took a couple of years to get off the ground, but really wanting to see the farm be able to expand its offering in connection to the community and grow our local agricultural scene here in the Central Texas area. So all of that led to the creation of the farmer's market.
I'm really excited about how the World Hunger Relief Farm is positioned to move forward. We have an amazing executive director, an amazing board, and we just got done with some strategic planning. And so I think that there's a lot of hope and a lot of excitement on where we're going as a farm and the impact of our programs moving forward and the quality of those programs. I'm really excited about the future of the farm and about people coming here to experience regenerative agriculture at its finest, where we are caring for the land, where we're caring for people, where people come and have this experience where now they step out into whatever realm they're in, whether it's business or politics or education, and they're advocates for a just food system where there's an alleviation of food insecurity and hunger in our communities, where there's a food system that we're actually working for resiliency, working for regenerative practices that leave the land off better than it was. We're not just taking, but we're giving back, and future generations get to experience the benefit of that.
I hope for a flourishing community. And by community, I mean that in the fullest sense. The plants, the soil, the animals, and of course all the people. We have a tremendous staff right now. We have folks that are so committed to this space and allowing it to maintain what we tend to call its magic. And I long to see students, lots of students, interns, graduate students, undergraduates, all being changed and transformed by giving their life to the farm and receiving life back.